Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Porch Talk. This is episode 7. This episode is presented to you by Wyatt Pole Holders. This is one of our newest sponsors for the podcast. If you have fishing poles that you'd like to display safely on the wall, or just need a way to get them off the floor, Wyatt Pole Holders has that. Sold on Etsy. He has a nice selection of fishing racks to fit your needs: pine, oak, poplar. They're just some of the wood used to craft these beautiful racks. Engravings are also available upon request. Me personally, I know the guy who makes these, and he has great reviews for his products. He's known for getting back to them quick as far as his customers. His customer service is great, and that's sold a lot of his racks. So again, we're thankful to have Wyatt Pole Holders as our newest sponsor on the pod.
We also have another sponsor. It's Cantrell Holdings Equipment Rentals. If you live in Southwest Virginia, Southern West Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, or anywhere around, and you find yourself looking for equipment rental, give them a call at 276-596-3078. They have excavators, backhoes, loaders, jackhammers available. Me and my dad rented one of the backhoes last weekend. It was delivered that morning and used all day. Come pick it up. A great deal. We were able to get a lot done. That would have took forever doing it by hand. So any job, big or small, give their Facebook page a like and follow them to learn more about their rental options. And they also have operator services. If you don't want to run it, that's available. Just check them out. Give them a call at 276-596-3078.
How you doing, man? How you been?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Been a long week. We ain't been on here in a minute, but it's good to be back.
Yeah, we unfortunately had to put it off a little bit. We got busy, had some stuff go on. Somebody went to prove.
Well, hang on. I've realized through this week how much I actually enjoy doing this.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I was sitting there just going through some of the old recordings all week, just trying to piece some stuff together, put out some more graphics and stuff just to kind of throw it out there more.
Yeah.
Just busy work. Now, you had a heck of a week. You got to see a pretty decent concert, I heard.
Yeah, got Laney Wilson and Hardy in Pikeville. Can't remember the other guy's name that opened up for him.
Seen it was it Dylan Mark?
Dylan Marlowe, maybe young kid. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Very good time. Got to go with some great friends, and we didn't actually end up riding with Logan and Rusty and them. We rode with Sarah and Lexi, and we all had different seats, but about halfway or before Hardy come out, Rusty come and got us the whole aisle, like the next 3 or 4 seats over from them on the floor. Nobody showed up, so we walked down and got with them. So that's pretty cool. But
ain't bad at all.
Yeah.
Well, honestly,
I had a great time. Going to work the next morning was getting home at 1 o'clock. Getting up at 4 was rough, but it was worth it.
Well, and considering the prices of those tickets, I mean, I don't know what you paid for them, but I know when I looked at them, they started off reasonable, but they sold out quick, and then they're being resold like 3 or 4 times what they were originally sold for.
When they first went on, it was so like they were coming off so fast that people couldn't even get, they put them in, they couldn't get them bought before. We didn't try to get the original ones because we'd already seen Hardy and her at the beach. So, or we knew we were going to see them when the tickets were sold. So we wouldn't want to pay a lot to go there.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But like you said, eventually when it closer it got, we found some decently priced ones. And there's not a bad seat in Pikeville. It's a smaller arena.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're sitting up top there, you're not really call that nosebleeds like normal arenas. So it's not a bad place. And but yeah, it was cool to get down on the floor later on. But the seats we had were really good. Anyway, we could see perfectly fine. But it was pretty cool to end it out down there with them. Appreciate them for that. And But we got
Well,
one coming up next week. Hopefully, y'all get to go.
yeah,
John
we're
Party.
working on that. We'll
That'll be a
talk
good
about
one
that on
too.
the pod.
He's really good live too, so you'll
You've
really
seen
enjoy
all
it.
these people. You tell Pikeville to get some people down here you haven't saw yet.
I did see somebody Paw Patrol live, I think, so I haven't seen him.
Well, you holler at me and I'll take Bo and we'll go see
We'll
him.
go. I'll get
Yeah.
Katie to get her kids. We'll go see Paw Patrol.
Yeah, he'd love it.
He'd fall asleep. That's what I would do if I was.
Well, I took him to the game tonight, and it was a mix of good and I ain't gonna say bad, but it's good and exhaustion.
Yeah,
So
he's
he
probably
got
not
tired.
even really old enough to be
He
like
doesn't.
interested for that
Yeah.
long yet. Anyway, though, so
No. I mean, he had an awesome time as far as he just really enjoyed seeing everybody clapping and cheering
yeah,
and
yeah.
the
All the
music.
sounds are what grabs his attention.
Yeah.
I bet instead of the actual football.
Yeah, he was back there jamming out just like some Guns N' Roses, and every time they'd have a touchdown or something, which was a lot,
Yeah.
he was screaming because he
Yeah.
knows from being here at the house, touchdown.
Oh
He
yeah.
knows the motion, so he
Well,
enjoyed it.
speaking of that high school football game you were at, we'll jump into. Well, you want to go over last week's scores first before we
Yeah,
get into
since
this week's?
we were a little bit,
Yeah,
we didn't get a chance to do that this week, so we can go over
we
it.
kind of dropped the ball on that,
Yeah.
but out of our hands this week. So, just a few scores from last week. Not really. I mean, time this comes out, this week's games will already be over with. Well, they're already over with anyway.
Yeah, most
But
of them.
Abingdon beat Richlands 37-7, no surprise. Honaker beat Holston 42-27, no surprise. But Honaker did trail at halftime 21-20. But come back, Peyton Music broke a single game record for Honaker passing yards with 422.
Second time, back-to-back weeks.
Yes, yeah, he had four touchdowns, I think. But Holston had 273 yards passing, which we'll get more into this here in a minute about Honaker's defense. But Honaker's averaging 48.5 points per game right now. And that was their first Hogle-Higgy game since 1987. It's a fun fact. But yeah, we'll come back to that. I want to talk about Honaker a little bit, which we can get jump on them when we talk about them tonight. About their defense. Let's see. Tazewell beat Fort Chiswell 44-34, and they trailed with 5 minutes left, 34-31. So they scored twice in 5 minutes, which I think one of them might have been a defensive. I don't know if it's a defensive score or not, but they got a fumble recovery there to help out a lot.
Yeah.
Hurley beat Riverview, West Virginia 40-27. Lebanon beat Castlewood 49-6. Lebanon. Let's see. No, it wasn't. Never mind. Hang on. I'll come back. Remind me to come back to the Tazewell game. There's some crazy stats I want to tell you. Northwood beat Twin Valley 43-6. Twin Springs beat J.I. Burton 49-12. And Gate City beat Marion 20-7. It's all the ones I have wrote down. The Tazewell game, which their quarterback, Creasy, he is our player of the week for last week. He was 37 of 53 for 466 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Wow.
8 different players caught passes for Tazewell. And you don't see that. That's hard for college and NFL teams, but you're spreading the ball around high school, 8 different players. That's impressive.
It's hard to defend.
And they had 101 offensive plays ran. Is that that's a lot for a high school game, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine.
Or for any,
I was watching the Niners play last night, and they had I don't know what they ended up with, but they had around 80 or 90 towards the end. So,
and
that's a little different, but
a lot more time. I mean,
I would
on
imagine.
the clock too and everything. So that's a lot of plays. I thought that really jumped out. That seems to be like a whole lot for me. But they had 678 yards of total offense, and only scored 35 points, which is kind of odd. But or not 35, but 44.
Or
But
44
anyway,
might be a little more reasonable.
I thought that was interesting.
What was the score of that game?
44-34.
Oh, I was going to say if it was a blowout, the running clock, maybe that has something to do with it. But
they trailed.
Yeah.
Like I said, they trailed 34-31 with 5 minutes left.
Mm.
So I've watched Tazewell play. That he's a pretty good quarterback. We don't talk about him as much. We talked about the guy from Lebanon a lot early on, and then obviously music from Honaker, which is obviously well deserved. But this guy, he's putting up a lot of numbers.
He got hurt during the Riverhead game, didn't he?
Yeah, and didn't play at least a half against them, I think, maybe more.
Yeah.
I don't know what grade he's in. He's not a tall guy. He seems to be pretty athletic, but I mean, you've got to be getting looked at by some colleges. Just the numbers he's putting up. I'll have to dive into that and see what his recruitment's like. But another stat that I'm gonna throw out there was Rye Cove beat Thomas Walker 44-0, and Rye Cove only allowed Thomas Walker 17 yards of offense. So
that's I mean, I don't care who you play. That's impressive. Yeah, that's impressive. 17 yards.
That's all last week's games. We'll get off of that and move on to this week. Unless you want to talk about any of those.
No, the only thing I do want to say, and not really about the game, but you did mention Twin Valley and Northwood, and of course we're going to pull from Twin Valley, but Northwood came out with that one. I did want to say thank you to Coach Krieger, if he's listening, for coming on the pod last week. That was an awesome experience getting to talk to him, and I'm hoping it's the first of many. But if you haven't watched that episode yet, just go check it out.
That was a lot of fun, and we got a lot. Yeah. That's by far our biggest episode, and I knew it would be because everybody knows him. I don't know if anybody, if you don't know him and you're living around here, it's just because you don't get out of the house.
Yeah, but I think, even though for me anyway, I knew him, but I didn't know all those stories that he had. Yeah. And I think it was great for him to come on, and I'm hoping that the other coaches that are going to come on, it'll be the same experience.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. And I think even after football season, there's so many good players that have played around here that are still around that would be interesting to talk to. We could just get people on even after football season, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be great to have, in high school sports, you have local legends. I mean, local stars. It would be awesome just to hear their experiences and how those high school days were for them, because you got people that remember that stuff. I mean, we could do one on your high school days. So
nobody remembers me. Well, I can go to the school I graduated at, and I don't know hardly any of the people anymore. Like a few people that remember, but yeah, I don't.
Well, they might remember you since you're.
I think there's more people from that aren't from Twin Valley that ask me more about our team than people that are from Twin Valley.
Could be.
It's kind of odd, but I talk to more people about that team that aren't from Twin Valley, which maybe is because they know the story, knew about everything, but
it'd be awesome, and the listeners we do have maybe can make some suggestions too, but it'd also be pretty cool to have you and some of those members of that team on here, along with even maybe Coach Moore. That would be pretty fascinating.
I can talk about it, but I can't promise that I won't throw things.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get off of that before I get mad. Union this week or tonight, I guess. Yeah, Union beat Gate City 35-0. You thought that might have been closer?
Yeah, I think. I thought Gate City's defense was better.
I thought it could be closer than that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I mean, obviously nobody knows anything, but I thought maybe I knew Gate City would have a hard time stopping Union from scoring, I think, but I knew Union had a good defense, but I thought Gate City might score.
It didn't look like it, and I can say that Gate City shared the uniforms for the game on their X account, and they were clean,
Yeah,
all whites. But I didn't watch the game, but I'd imagine they wasn't that white anymore
yeah.
at the
They
end.
were
Not by
they
the
were
way the
they were
score looked.
lit as the youngins say.
Yeah, that's what I guess what they say.
That's what I
I
hear they
miss.
say. I don't know.
Yeah, I miss
Have
that
you?
phase.
I hate being in a conversation with people that use those words. I know it's just because I'm probably old and from around here, but I can't do it. I can't call
Yeah,
something lit. I can't, or whatever those words are. I just can't.
it's just a different. I don't know. I mean, I've talked to people that do it, and it's just part of their lingo. Like I'm sure we
Yeah,
have things that are part of ours that I don't even notice.
yeah.
It's different.
Anyway, uh, which I watched Union and Graham last week. Uh, which I don't even think we talked about that in the. Did we even talk about that from last
I
week?
don't think so. That's
I
game of
didn't
the
even write
week.
that down. Yeah, that was our game of the week.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I didn't even write it down. Anyway, let's talk about that real quick. I was there. Graham's best player was out, so and it's the running back or their all-purpose guy, whatever he does for them. Who everything I've heard about him is he's by far the best player around here, and it's not even close. But um, I don't want to say not even close, but it's pretty obvious when he's on the field.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'd love to. I hope he gets healthy and I get to go watch him play before the year. But Union's defense is they like I said, I knew coming in they were tough, but they were very impressive. Very, very impressive. They physical, they're fast. They got everything you would want, offensively and defensively. They don't throw it a lot, but they're capable of throwing it, mixing in a pass here and there. So they'll be a very tough out later in the year in the playoffs.
That game with Ridgeview in a few weeks. I think that'd be
Might
one
be trying to
be
go to
worth
that one.
be worth going to.
Um, Lebanon 28, Richland 7 tonight. It's not really a surprise after I watching the Tazewell Richlands game. Richlands has trouble covering the pass. I kind of thought Richlands would score more against Lebanon, but
That's what I was kind of thinking. Which I don't know what Richlands has as far as they got any injuries or anything like that. But you look how the score was with Tazewell. I mean, they ended up
yeah,
Well, I don't want to say choke, but they end up, losing that game at the
had a
end.
lot
And
of turnovers in that game too, which
yeah,
might have been the case tonight if they turned it over like they did against
yeah,
Tazewell. So I don't
good win for
know.
Lebanon though.
Yeah, but they
Yeah,
needed that win. Ridgeview 48, Lehigh 7. Ridgeview keeps rolling. Lehigh's having a pretty tough year, all the way
yeah,
out in the far corner of Virginia. Holston 52, Hurley 0. Again, I knew Holston was a pretty good team. That whole district is the Hogohigi district is by far the best district in single A. Well, around here, obviously.
yeah.
Uh, but Hurley did not score. Again, I thought maybe they could maybe put a few points on the board, but
Yeah, and from what we saw, the head coach got thrown out that game, or got thrown out tonight. So I'm not sure what and all that was about. I think the score was already pretty out of
I
hand at
think it was
that point.
38-0 or 34-0 when it happened on
Yeah,
that video that people are sending out.
yeah,
There's no reason not to talk about it because it's going to be out. So it's not like we're throwing somebody under the bus, but that was that was kind of crazy. I don't know what exactly happened. It was after a penalty, so I don't know. Maybe it'd been building up, but yeah, it was very surprising. It wasn't a great
yeah,
scene over there
yeah.
from the video I seen, but hopefully it's just a rare occurrence, and he's you hate to see anybody
Well,
because I mean that could be I'm sure that's not him. It's just a
yeah, and
mistake
that's
he
what I was
made.
going to
So
say. We both have coached some, and it's easy to get frustrated out there. And then, sometimes things happen in the game. You might feel like something went too far. I'm not sure what this case was that he
yeah,
got upset about, and I don't think that it's unfortunate that it happened, and I hate that it happened. because I think that I think it. I don't know him, but I would say it's probably not a good representation of who he is, and I
Yeah.
know for a fact it's not a good representation of or who Hurley is as a school and as a town. To me, so I hope it doesn't reflect bad on them. I don't think it should. I just think it was a spur of the moment thing. Tippers flared, and I'm sure even now he's probably regretting it
Yeah,
as
that's
most
an
of us would.
instant regret thing, I
Yeah,
believe, and you don't know what somebody's going through at any given moment. So I
yeah,
mean, yeah, that's we see when people's, I guess, their worst or their unfortunately when they're like maybe one of the worst things that they can do come out in a public setting. It's it's easier for everybody to look at it and talk about it, but you don't really know. I don't think that's any indication of probably who he is. So for us to sit here and I'm not going to bash him or say you can't do that. I don't know. I'm not going to do it. So yeah, hopefully just be a moment he can hopefully put past him soon and get back out there. I don't know if there'll be a kind of suspension. I don't know how that works, but
yeah. I'm sure the VHSL will probably look at it, um, just given the fact that I mean I don't know what happened, but I know it was between him and a ref, and
yeah,
well, I don't know what started, but the ref
right,
ultimately threw him out, so I'm
yeah.
sure it'll be looked at.
Where were we at? Craig County beat Twin Valley tonight, 34-14. I was at that game. Twin Valley was in it for most of the game. Craig County jumped out to an early 20-6 lead, and Twin Valley tied it up before the half. Craig County scored the first drive. Twin Valley scores first drive, second half, 28-14, and it stayed there for a minute there. But both teams, I think, turned it over on their next possessions, and Craig County scored late in the third quarter, or maybe even the start of the fourth quarter, I think, and take the 35-14 lead. But Twin Valley, as Coach Krieger told us, they did have more players on the sidelines, so that's good.
Yeah,
Had some injuries. One of their, I don't know if he's a starting running back or he's in the backfield. He had some injury problems on
yeah,
and off throughout the night, so he was in and out the whole time. That hurt some of their offensive drives, and they weren't able to get things going. But they're young and they have some skilled guys, some receivers who make some great catches. The quarterback, the little freshman they got, some good passes. He probably weighs as much as one of my legs, so he's not throwing it 70
yeah,
yards, but accurate and seems to be like what how you people get called a gamer. He just
yeah,
seems to be very comfortable to be a freshman, in some of these
yeah,
situations. Which again, he's such a small guy that he don't look like it, but he's pretty he's pretty accurate. And if they can you know keep building on this and get they're small up front. That's another big problem they're having this year. But it's not like they're completely just terrible football players. That's
yeah.
not the case. That's not the case at all. You might look at some of these scores, but they're just young and inexperienced. I think is their main thing, and size up
Cool.
front. So they're hopefully the next couple of years before the consolidation, maybe they
Yeah.
can put a good season together.
Well, and in that offense, in particular, the quarterback position is very important. And uh, you already mentioned a few things he's doing good, and he's a younger guy. What you're
I think
saying?
he's a freshman, yeah, and
Okay,
he
so I
looks
mean,
like
freshman.
he's in the seventh grade.
Yeah, so I mean, even being that young, he has plenty of time to learn. And
Yeah,
just look at Coach Krieger's past record. I mean, you had guys like Shannon, Tate, and Jake. Uh, I'm sure they had more after that had a lot of success. Maybe not as far as passing goes, stat wise, but as far as running the offense, they did a great job.
yeah. I think again, it's how football is. It starts with the line, and I'm not saying those guys. I'm not putting them down, but they're just. I think, like I said, inexperience and just size. I think they're young. They got a couple guys with some size, but compared to who they're going up against, they're a small group. So yeah,
Well, I mean,
hopefully they can.
going from where it was last year, to now, it's just it's building,
Yeah.
and that's what we were talking about in the pod with Coach Krieger. It's just right now it's about growth.
Yep.
You always want to be competitive or have that competitive spirit, but right now when you're trying to rebuild a program, which he's done before, you have to build a culture. And so I think this year, I'm not in there, but I would imagine that's what he's focusing on.
Patrick Henry, 49, John Battle, 19. Good speed, had all 7 of Patrick Henry's touchdowns. So they get a bounce back win after the upset last week.
Good name.
It is a good name.
For Mr.
I mentioned that last week.
Yeah.
I meant to mention this because I feel like he deserves it. Logan Lester last week for Grundy, in their upset. I guess you'd call it an upset. Win over Patrick Henry, had 3 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown. So shout out to him. Very good game. He was out this week against Honaker.
Yeah, we wish him well.
Make sure I give him a shout out, and hopefully he gets back on the field.
Coach Bostic, right?
Yeah.
So Coach Bostic's first win as a head coach, if I'm not mistaken.
First win, and then I went back and watched that on the whatever the network thing is, and they made some big plays. Had some guys step up and make good plays that I don't know what their role has been this year, if that's how they've played all year, or if they've been a more of a running team, but they threw it around and some receivers made some plays. So shout out to them. And one of Patrick Henry's touchdowns in that game was the defensive touchdown on a pick 6 from good speed. He's just really good, obviously, but so Grundy's defense stepped up and against Patrick Henry and played pretty good there. Which in the night, which granted Grundy's quarterback is out, which changes things. But then you give up 52 to Honaker in a half. So you can look at it like maybe Patrick Henry's not as good as what people were thinking, or maybe Grundy was better. But then tonight, you can't really put a finger on it. I think it's a mixture of everything. I think Honaker's offense is just really, really good.
Yeah,
and
matchups.
And it's a style thing too. Like Patrick Henry's going to line up running at you. I don't think they have much of a passing threat from what I've seen so far. So it's just a matchup thing and a style thing too, more than all of it, I guess. Graham, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you can go ahead. I'll let you finish them out.
Graham 21, Virginia High 14. Again, this is closer than what I would have predicted, even without Graham's best player. But maybe they're kind of, I don't want to say one dimensional, but because they can still throw it, and they got an athletic quarterback that is capable. But it shows without that guy how I don't want to say easier to defend, but it's just not having somebody like him out there makes that big a difference for them. So I don't know what their schedule is moving forward. I don't think they'll come up against anybody that's going to will beat them. But Virginia High, that's a good. I mean, just keeping them down to 21 points. That's a good night for them.
That's a good moral victory. I mean, Graham's a good team.
Rye Cove 70, Castlewood 0. Rye Cove is they're the second best team in the 1A in right here. I think in the 1A, they are very good. Their defense is real deal. Honaker put 42 up on them, but it was a hard earned 42, and they just got, like I said, told you that their quarterback reminds me of I'm trying to think of other people, but for some reason Tyrod Taylor comes to my mind. That's who it reminded me watching when I watched that game. He's very quick, side to side, smaller guy, can throw it. I think they're a very good team. I don't want to pull for anybody, but I hope that's a rematch in the region championship between them and Honaker.
It's looking like it's going to end up that way. Just kind of looking at the scores and who's there.
Castlewood having a rough year. I don't know who they have on their schedule, but I don't think they've had a close game yet, so it's a down year for them. And then finally, Honaker 58, Grundy 6, and that was the score at halftime, right?
52-6 was
52 to
score
6
at
at
halftime.
halftime.
Yeah.
Put another one up. And
Yeah.
I told Dad, I told somebody else, because that's what I heard, or maybe I read it wrong, but I thought that Peyton Music was out tonight, but you said it was his brother, was Avery, the receiver,
I think that's his name from what I was
was
told.
out. And that I'm not even from Honaker, and I'm not even, I don't pull for him like more than, I would anybody else, but it's a local team. But that just was gut wrenching hearing about his collarbone, because I'd
Yeah.
imagine he's out for the year. So if that's true, I don't know if that's exactly what was. I've not read that officially, but that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Was a
And
collarbone. So
and we wish him well. You know, I played with a pretty good player my senior year, and Brandon McLaughlin, and I thought he could have been. He would have been all district, maybe in all region, and he broke his collarbone early in the season. And I mean, it happens quite often.
Yeah.
But
But
no,
go ahead.
I'll let you go ahead because I was going to go on a little
Well,
talk about the
I was just going
game.
to say
So I'll
that
let you
game
guys
doesn't
say, yeah,
really. Yeah, you were there. I'll let you recap it. But that
yeah,
score doesn't surprise me. Grundy's quarterback was
yeah,
out, the Lester kid. So I'm not. Again, when you look at you go back and look at matchups and stuff. I don't think it was going to be a very close game anyway. But that just with Grundy's best player out, and Honaker still firing on all cylinders because they got.
yeah,
I'm not saying that they're going to be as like as obviously not going to be as good with him out, but they got so many weapons anyway that it's just going to still be hard to do anything with them. But looking down the road
yeah,
somewhere, that could be an injury that could possibly be an issue. But you can tell me about their defense. I'm curious, not so much about this week, but last week and in a couple of games. I'm not saying that they got a bad defense, but that seems to be the weaker side to them. Obviously, their offense is really good. Is
yeah.
it
I
so
mean,
much of a? I don't want to say they got a bad defense, but that they just seem to be like they give up 21 to Holston and a half. Rykov put up some numbers against them, which Rykov's a good team, but would that be maybe an issue going forward? Do you see, or do you think it's just they played some good teams
yeah,
that maybe got them, got a few on them?
yeah. Well, there's really just two games in question, from what I know, and that's the Holston game and the Rye Cove game. And I think that we're both in agreement that Rye Cove is probably going to be there with them in the playoffs. I mean, I think they're both going to make it pretty far. So I didn't watch that game. You did. So, but now Holston, I watched the second half of it. I thought for the most part, Honaker did well. I had a family that went to the game, and they said the first half, especially towards the end, because Honaker was up on them. I think it might have been like 20-6
27, I
or
think.
20-7, yeah.
I
And
think
then
so.
they had a few turnovers that caused the game to kind of get back to where it's competitive again.
Yeah.
Um, Now, with that being said, I got to watch tonight's game, and so the thing about high school football, it seems like, at least in single A, I've noticed is that, like we were talking about matchups, it's hard to kind of judge what their defense is, um, because the competition vary. I think the gap in competition is so different in single A, because you play a team like Castlewood, and no disrespect to Castlewood, but that's not Rye Cove.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's hard for me to really give an assessment on their defense yet because I feel like we've not. I mean, the Rye Cove game was probably the closest as far as a good measuring stick to what they are. But now if their offense keeps playing like this, they're going to be in it.
Yeah.
And well, I'll let you give your opinion on the defense before I get into what the offense did tonight.
I think, like I said, I think they have a good. I think the Dry Cove game, from what I've seen, there was looked like a lot of missed tackles. It wasn't so much that they weren't in positions. And again, I think I don't know if you want to call it missed tackles as much as Dry Cove just making some plays. I tend to lean towards it being more about Dry Cove is pretty good, other than this Honaker had a bad night. It could be a little bit of both. It could be Honaker maybe just was off a little bit, maybe some missing assignments or something, and Rykov might not be as good as what I'm thinking. But I just think that that's again matchups. Like maybe that spread it out, and that type of style was a little harder getting open field. Maybe it's a little harder for them to defend. Maybe they were, I don't know, but moving forward, and they're so good that when I say moving forward, I mean possibly winning region and going on to the state. That's what I'm looking at. Like, is that going to be something that when they get up there, is that going to be an issue? So I mean, it's not really. Anytime somebody's talking about that far, you're obviously not bad at either side of the ball, but
well, you need to find, as a team, when you're blowing out people, you got to find things to work on. You got to find something as a coach to nitpick on. Nitpick's probably a poor choice of words, but I mean, you're really trying to just go in there and perfect everything that you can. And the one thing I'll say about their defense, as far as watching them tonight, and what I think is a very good sign of a good defense at any level, high school, college, or NFL, is if they rally to the ball.
Yeah.
That's my main thing when I watch defense, is when somebody gets the ball, like a running back gets out in the flat, like how many is running towards him. And to me, every time I saw Grundy get outside, which, they didn't have a whole lot of positive plays, but when they did get outside, you saw the defense rallying, and they were coming up quick. And a lot, I mean, I don't know the guy's name for Grundy, but number 11, he's the one who scored their lone touchdown they had on a kick return. He had speed, and he could not get the edge on them.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that might have something to do with the fact that Grundy's quarterback was out, so the threat wasn't really there when it came to passing.
Yeah, I don't think it would have. Obviously, it made a difference in like their preparation, but I don't think it still would have made an impact on this. It might not have been as bad, but I still think Honaker would have still took care of him pretty good.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Patrick Henry to me when the Grundy game. It seemed like it was more of a speed thing than that Grundy had over him than anything. Which is what makes Ryko so tough. Is but Honaker has speed everywhere too. That I think Parker Bandy tonight broke the record for career interceptions for Honaker.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's mostly just last year and this year. I think he had 8 last year or 7 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he's already 15 in total.
Yeah, so
what he has now.
So yeah, again, when I say, I guess we got to bring up some kind of something to talk about them. So maybe that's the only reason. Maybe we're overthinking it. Maybe they're just fine.
Well, and two, it's early in the season. I mean, I know we're going into week 4 and 5, but ultimately, like the Rye Cove game is week 3.
They got Patrick Henry soon, don't they?
Yeah, I was gonna say they got Patrick Henry and Narrows, so they'll be.
Oh, they play Narrows.
Good games. Yeah. Well, I talked to a guy today, and he said they play Narrows. I've not looked at the schedule.
Okay.
But he said that was one that might be a little closer.
Yeah.
Or good competition for him. But just to recap some of the offense of what I saw, and it was pretty much what we saw when we saw him play at Lebanon. They were just all over the field. I mean, they were throwing the ball to Aiden Lowe, to Bandy, to Stevens. Just some of these names that I'm not even. Of course we know Lowe and Bandy; those are the two big ones. But some of these other kids, I wish I need a roster with the numbers, but I think Stevens might have been the one that he had him or Marsh had an awesome catch. It was like Randy Moss just jumped over the guy, reached over his helmet, and grabbed it. It was a great catch. But the offense was spreading it around. Um, of course, Bandy did his thing. I think he ended up having maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns, had a pick six. He was all over the field. Uh, he will be in the talks to be all state, I think, at the end of the year. Him and Music.
Oh, they're
'Cause
going to
there's
have several
yeah. Those
that
two, I
are,
think. Well, and Aiden Lowe too, because he also scored again. Um, those three, they're not the only three they got. I mean, they're the only star players they have, but I think those three definitely lead the pack. I'm not sure on the backs' names. I mean, of course, Lowe, I recognize him, but they had a little bruiser of a back. I can't remember what number he was, but it looked like Debo Samuel out there. I'm telling you, he was just carrying people.
Oh, boy.
And so for me, I was
Give it
impressed
to a
by the
49ers fan when you talk about somebody carrying people to go
yeah.
with Debo.
I
Of
mean,
all the people you could talk about,
yeah. Well, I mean,
you,
Debo's the king of yak, but right now anyway. But anyway,
okay.
that's a separate discussion. But the other guys on Honaker's offense, I think those are the ones um, that impressed me the most. And their center, number 50, I think he was insane today, man. You watched the movie The Blind Side, right? So you've
Yeah,
watched
which
when
we should talk about that too. But
we'll
go
have to
ahead.
have a
Yeah,
whole
I've
pod, I
watched
think,
it.
to talk about
I
that. But
watched that.
the part where he carries the dude all the way down the field and takes him home or whatever.
He doesn't carry
Uh,
him, but
well, you know
he
what I mean.
pushes him. He
Yeah.
pushes him over the
So
fence. Time for him to go. All that. Yeah.
yeah. So there was like 2 or 3 straight plays where their center took a defender, I guess a D lineman, linebacker, whatever it was, at least 15, 20 yards down the field. I've not seen that often in high school football. I thought it was impressive.
Did he get a penalty called on him?
No, I mean they were running plays.
Michael Orr got a penalty called on him.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean he didn't take
Excessive
him.
blocking, I think, is what the official ruling on the
That
field
is
was.
true. That is true. I mean he didn't take him all the way home, I guess, out of the fence line, but
Time for
he
him to
took him
go
20
home, he
yards
said, yeah.
downfield. Yeah. But yeah, I mean I was super impressed, and I knew going into it kind of what to expect. But I'm a fan of the air raid. I love the whole mesh, the screens, and all that stuff. So I'm more of a fan of the offense than anything. I like watching it.
I love watching them play.
Yeah.
It's just so entertaining, and it's not a knock against anybody else, but they've got that worked out. Like you have everything, all the right pieces there. You have the good line.
Yeah.
You have a good quarterback, and you have athletes everywhere at receiver. Not just athletes, but people with good hands. And then you have a coach that knows how to come in, run this system, and they have got it rolling. And it is a lot of fun to watch. Like you don't just go watch them put up even a blowout. It's entertaining because people like to watch that kind of football. But
Well, the thing is too, I mean, that air raid offense. It's not just. I mean, you see offenses around here that they have their offense. It is what it is. Everybody, they might know what they are, but this air raid offense is like their total identity right now. Like they're running out with the pirate flag, paying homage to Coach Leach. In their X account, they got the jets flying. I mean, they got all the air raid stuff, and they have totally bought into it. And I'm not sure what they're doing in little league and middle school, but it wouldn't shock me one bit if they're not planting in some of the just the core principles of the air raid, and getting like the mesh or the screen and some of those plays in, because I mean they're bought in. But I mean that's what it takes. That's why they're having the success they're having right now. But yeah, I mean
sorry,
it was a fun experience.
you saying that about the Jets and all that on Twitter.
Yeah.
It reminded me they have the helmets on that, so that's where we can find out if they play narrows.
Oh yeah, I guess it'll
Don't
be
those
2
have
weeks from
helmet?
now.
Don't they have the yeah? Right there it is.
Yeah, then
Let's
Patrick
see.
Henry right after that.
So who is it? Is it that's narrows, ain't it? The gold and the green. Yep.
Yeah,
So they do
yeah,
play them then. Yeah.
yeah. Then Patrick Henry.
Yeah.
So
Who's
that'll
that
be two
last
good
one?
weeks.
The
I'm
Chilhowie?
not sure.
Chilhowie maybe? Or they already played Chilhowie?
Might be. I mean, they haven't played Howie yet.
That's probably Chilhowie then, because
Yeah,
no Chilhowie is next week, right? Or
I'm not
hosting.
sure. I'd have
No,
to
they
look
play,
at
I
their.
don't know. Yeah.
I had to look
Anyway,
at their
they
schedule.
do play narrow. So
Yeah,
let's we can end our high school football segment. That segment brought to you by Cantrell Holdings Equipment
yeah.
for all
He
your rental
loves that.
needs.
Yeah. So just to touch on, well, not just to touch on, we'll go ahead and go into our college football slate. So far right now, between me and Jamar, we're both 20-7 in our college pick'ems. This week, gosh, it's a treat for college football fans everywhere, and I think it comes at a good time because I think the
Not
Sunday slate.
everywhere.
Well, maybe not
If you're
everywhere.
in Virginia,
Yeah.
we don't really. It's not
Well,
getting no better
yeah.
for us. But I see
Well,
what you're saying though.
yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Just
But
as a general college football fan, if you like games that might not be your team, but
yeah, I'll be watching a lot of games this week. Tech won't
oh
be one
yeah,
of them.
yeah, yeah. We're going to work on the house this
I don't
week,
even know who
and
we play.
yeah, we played tonight.
I didn't even look.
We were tied with NC State tonight. We've been playing on Friday a lot. But we're going to work on our house this weekend, and my wife told me, she's like, what day are we going to do it? And she's like, well, I guess we'll just do it Saturday because Sunday's football. And I said, well, honey, we played Thursday, and Saturday has football on from the
We
morning to
lost
the
by
night.
3.
Well,
Sorry.
I kind of figured we're struggling. That's a different conversation. That's 0-4 now. But anyway, so I told her, I was like, no, we'll work on the house Sunday, Saturday, college football, morning till night. Terrific slate of games. I think I've read somewhere that's maybe the most ranked matchups on a Saturday since 2006.
And it would
Um,
have been another one thrown in if Clemson could have stayed ranked. That would have been another ranked matchup that should
yeah,
have been, people
yeah.
expected at the beginning of the year. So
And, almost all of the picks or the games that I had listed for us to talk about, all of them's ranked except for that one, but I could not leave it out.
oh
Um,
yeah, it's a big game. Guess who
yeah,
doesn't play a ranked team this week? Surprise, surprise, Georgia.
yeah, they play UAB.
Yeah.
Trent Dilfer, head coach, UAB.
Is that where he's at?
Yep. A little side note: he said this week that the atmosphere in the SEC on a night game is better atmosphere than the Super Bowl.
Like
So,
for fans, I guess.
I don't know, atmosphere, I guess, just
Well,
the
it has to be
experience of
because the
going
Super
there.
Bowl is more of an experience and atmosphere
Yeah,
anyway. Because you don't have one
yeah, I
stadium
think,
full of certain fans unless you're
yeah, I think you described that perfect. An experience atmosphere because the Super
yeah
Bowl is about the experience.
yeah.
But I mean, it would.
I
I don't
see
know.
what he's
That'd be
saying
hard.
though. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Even though I'm not as high on Georgia's home field advantage as our friend Rusty is, uh, but we can talk about that tomorrow with him if he ends up getting on. But yeah, our first game is going to be Florida State at Clemson at 12 o'clock. Um, just kind of give you a little bit of information about this game. Since 2005, the winner of this game has went to the ACC championship. They have combined for 13 ACC title games, and this year we're not doing divisions in the ACC. So usually it's either or. Well, now it's they're going to have a great chance to play again. I mean, I think they are going to be
Well,
in the ACC championship.
I don't know.
Well,
The
yeah,
way Clemson's playing,
yeah. I was like,
yeah.
we'll see with Clemson. I do think that Florida State's going to be there. Right now, Jordan Travis is playing out of his mind. They have scored at least 30 points in 9 straight games. That's very impressive. I think that's actually the longest streak in the ACC and the second longest streak in the country. at the moment. So the offense is clicking. You got Travis, you got Keon Coleman, you got Johnny Wilson, and then you got a guy that's going to be a top 5 pick, if not number 1. Well, Caleb Williams probably number 1, but at least non-quarterback pick with I think it's Jared Verse or Von Verse, whatever his name is. Verse is the last name, edge rusher, and he had a great game against LSU week 1. So I think he could be in Klubnik's face quite a bit. With that being said, Clemson, they struggled. I mean, I think all of us were shocked the way the Duke game went. I think that Duke is better than what people thought, but I think Clemson is definitely by far worse than at least what I thought. I mean, I had them in the playoffs. I think their defense still has talent, but it's not where I thought it would be.
Well, yeah, they're they don't have them ranked, but it's that I don't know that they're. I think they're obviously like how they've been playing. They're not a ranked team, but I think they're probably talent wise. They probably should be actually a ranked team. And proof of that more than anything is that they got the spread right now too.
Yeah, I mean they're playing.
People, experts know that that is not a game that Florida State's going to come in and be a guaranteed thing. I mean, I know they're looked down, but it's still Dabo, it's still Clemson defense, and it's at Clemson, right?
Yeah, it's at Clemson.
Which is speaking of atmospheres, that's a tough place to play.
Yeah, one of the best, I think.
Yeah, so I think it'll be a really competitive game.
I do.
I think in the end, Clemson defense keeps them in it for a while, but I think Florida State's a little too much. So I just don't see how. You never, obviously.
No, you don't.
Know,
and
but
to give Clemson a little bit of credit, which is kind of bad and good thing, but they were tied with FCS team, I think Charleston Southern, 14-14. But since then, they have, I think, outscored opponents 100-17.
Yeah.
Granted, the competition isn't great, but that environment. I'm like you. I think it'll be close for a while, but I see Florida State still getting to their 30.
That would be one
of
my locks, and it may even be. I'm not sure how we're going to do that. It's not a 3:00 game, but if I was putting money on, Florida State's covering that spread. I think I don't think Clemson's as bad as what people are maybe acting like, but I think Florida State's 2 points better than them.
Yeah. Well, I'll just throw it out there. As far as picking, I agree with you. I think Florida State's going to win. I think they're going to cover. I think it'll be close towards the end. Florida State will pull away. Something I did want to bring up. I don't know how much you want to get into this, but it's 56 years now of the rubbing the rock, running down the hill tradition. And it kind of got me thinking about some traditions, and I don't want to go into all of them. Because I know, there's a few that stick out. Jump around at Wisconsin. You got, Inner Sandman at Tech. I'll give y'all credit for that. But do you think the rubbing the rock thing, running down the hill?
You already forgot about the 16 straight wins or whatever it was we have against you. Like you act like Inner Sandman is not a thing. Get out of here.
I said it was one of them.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's the best one. When Tech's good, it's the best one.
I added it in there. But the rubbing the rock, running down the hill, I was curious on what you think. Do you think that would get you pumped up, your adrenaline going, running down that hill through all those fans?
Not the hill part. I think coming out and doing all that and standing in front of, because most of the time you're in a tunnel.
Yeah.
You don't see players, probably don't see the whole thing. I do think when you're up there like that, and that the way they do it, where they get off the buses and they walk in and they build up to it, and then you're out and you can see the whole stadium before you actually run down the hill. I don't think the hill has anything to necessarily do with it running through the fans. I'm sure it's cool, but I think the biggest part of that is being up there on top of it and seeing all of it as it's, as you're waiting. And if you're a football player and you in a stadium like that and you're making that walk through from the bus and through there to get to it, that would be a pretty get you going. I would imagine.
I never even thought of the whole part about getting that overlook of the stadium. That
Yeah,
would
because
probably be worth it.
I mean, you know how you walk out, and I'm sure
Yeah,
there's something to that too. You don't see everything unfold until you're running out, but
yeah.
you can't really take it in then either. So like to be able to stand up there and like be a look around you and see the whole stadium and take all that in, it's got to be a good experience.
No, I'm sure. I was thinking the opposite. It makes me nervous when I think about it, just because, uh, I'm sure you felt it too when you played with football or even basketball. When you're running out, you got so much adrenaline. You almost feel like you're running on air. Uh, and I just feel like I was running down that I would just trip and fall, and I'd be the one guy to just
Well, I
roll down
think
that
that's
hill.
why the
So,
hill. I think that's why it probably takes away from everything else, is because they probably
yeah.
do have to be. Well, some of them just run and jump halfway down the thing.
Oh yeah. That's
So to me, you'd have to be almost uh, not paying attention to what's going on around you and taking everything in and being focused on, like you said, not being the one dude that trips and
yeah.
falls and trips everybody else up
Falling
going
down.
down the hill. Which Dabo runs down that thing full speed.
It goes.
I mean,
Yeah.
some of them guys can't run down that thing full speed. You imagine big offensive linemen trying to get all that weight moving forward, then they got to
Be
go
hard.
8. That's not safe.
No. Imagine if it rains. Do they still do it if it rains? I'm not sure. Most of the games I've watched them play. I've watched
I
them a
guess they
lot over the
do. I would
years.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think
That's
it's not a
interesting.
surface. I don't think they're going down the surface where rain's going to make a difference. But
Yeah.
I bet they try to keep it. They would have to kind of keep it dry though. But if it was raining a lot before, maybe they walk down
Mhm.
the hill if it's raining.
Kind of upset at myself that I've watched them. Well, we both watched them hundreds of times being in the ACC. I just don't remember ever watching them run down the hill when it rains. I don't. Which it's not
I
every game they show it, but
Yeah, you don't see it a
yeah,
lot. But yeah, that's a good
interesting.
question.
Yeah. Um.
Well, the thing I was going to say, you talked about running out like all the times. I never run out in anything like that, obviously. But
Yeah.
like anytime I've ever come out for anything, I don't. When you're actually coming out, I don't
Yeah.
remember ever taking in the scene of it, like and looking around and seeing,
No,
what I
I
mean,
don't.
and see.
Yeah.
That's why I think if you got that pause up on top of that hill before you actually start your run in, I think that gives you a minute to stop and like take some mental pictures
Yeah.
and take it in, which I think is the coolest part about it.
And that sounds like something that Dabo probably does intentionally. He probably does have them
Yeah,
stop at the top of the hill and be like, "Hey guys, look at
yeah.
this." Um. So the next one is
Who'd you
maybe
take? You take Florida State or Clemson?
oh yeah, Florida
Florida
State. Yeah,
State.
yeah.
Okay.
Same concept. Close game to the end. Uh, Florida State puts up 30, 10 straight games, and I don't see Clemson doing that. Um, so the biggest game of the weekend is as far as viewership, and I feel like they have a good leg to stand on now since they've been putting out the numbers.
This will be, um, yeah, this will be a big one.
Oh yeah, it will. I know that. Well, again, it's a interesting concept because you got, or it's interesting question because you got Ohio State, Notre Dame, kind of like how we had Alabama,
That
Texas.
that one could, just because of the fan bases, that one could
Yeah,
compete with it, and they're both good this year. I forgot
yeah.
about it.
But now last week, Colorado State and Colorado was the most watched game ever on ESPN.
There's no other games on.
I'm talking about ever though,
Oh,
like
ever? That
ever.
surprises
Yeah.
me because it's
Yes, it
called,
was.
yeah. Which it turned out it was a good game. I was very surprised about that, by the way.
Yeah, and with
That
it being,
shouldn't have been that close.
no, but with the fact that it was at 10 o'clock, and then to have that viewership, it's crazy. I was sitting there thinking about it the other day, and I was like, man, a lot of people are getting aggravated. I read comments and stuff about Deion Sanders and all that, getting aggravated how much he's on ESPN and everything else. But I'm just kind of enjoying it because you don't have people come around like this very often. So I'm enjoying that a lot. The number on last week's game was 9.3 million. So
Well,
the
I'll say this real quick.
yeah
You don't have people come in and completely turn the program around like he has. plus people who do come in aren't stars already, and people don't absolutely flock to him and love him already like I could do with him.
Yeah.
You don't have the build up coming from, and they've done a good job when they were at Jackson State of having a social media thing and putting all that out there.
Mm-hmm.
So they were being seen, and he worked for Barstool, so he had a big following anyway before. And then you add all that social media stuff to it. He's out there, and they're not afraid to put stuff out. You get an inside look, which helps people. Then you go to a bigger school, so naturally people are going to follow you anyway. But then you're actually good too. But the people, when Alabama was good, it's all you seen on TV was Saban and Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
You got oversaturated with Dabo and Clemson for a long time. Used to be to say, it's not just them; it's whoever is good. And granted, Colorado is not at that level as far as a team yet. They're not going to. I don't put them on that level as the Alabama and Clemson national championship teams, all that stuff yet. But the aura around Deion and the popularity is very much justified, and there's a reason for it. And it's not just because he turned Colorado around. That started well before he ever got to Colorado. So anybody that says that, I'm tired of seeing that, well, then turn your TV off because everybody else is enjoying it.
Yep, and I think that he's a great leader. I mean, I'm happy that it's happening to somebody that you watch these videos and you listen to him talk to his players and everything else, and it's the type of coach that you want your kids to play for.
What are you doing?
Sorry,
I'm getting interrupted.
Cat making a guess.
Yeah, just trying to get involved here.
But since I didn't even lead off talking about the matchup. It's 19 Colorado be playing at Eugene at 3:30. Right now Shedeur Sanders is a Heisman contender. He's got 1,200 yards, a little bit over 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's rushed for a touchdown. Right now, he's playing lights out. He had that 98-yard game-tying drive. They got the weapons on the outside with Jimmy Horn and Xavier Weaver. We can't talk about this game without not mentioning Travis Hunter not playing.
Yeah, and I was going to bring this up too. I seen it the other day. The fact that guy didn't get called for, I can't remember who was shared it, but that if all these targeting penalties that they call and all this crap that they review every single play, but that nothing happens on that hit, and it's 3 seconds after the ball hits the ground.
Yeah,
that's the definition of a actual targeting. Yeah. Other than the helmet wasn't involved, but that's the dirty play they're trying to take out of the sport. But yet, no flag was even thrown on that play. But if you hit somebody a little late, or you just not even late, if you just drop your head just a little bit too much, they're going to stop everything. They're going to review it. They're going to kick you out. And I think that's complete. NCAA is a joke anyway, but that's terrible. That should be a rule right now. They should change. They should put that in this week.
Yeah, will they be able to go back and review it? Kind of how they go back and review fines in the NFL. Maybe go back and review it.
They can't do anything like now because I guess technically all it would have been was a late hit. I guess you don't get ejected for a late hit. You just get ejected unless it's targeted. Unless you use your helmet. They'd have to actually go back and probably make an actual rule that says some kind of intent to hurt somebody if it's that late. They review everything else, so they should put that in.
Well, Deion and Travis both came out in support of the guy.
But
a good turning the other cheek moment, because he was getting death threats and everything else.
I agree with him on that. That's ridiculous. Anybody would ever do that, but that's not the first time we've heard about crazy death threats in sports, which I think it's the most absurd thing ever that somebody would actually do that and actually threaten somebody's life over something. But
over a game,
they can say. I heard Travis Hunter say that's football and everything, but that's not football anymore.
No.
Not how they.
I think that, I think they're just moving on to next week. I know he ain't playing, but
and I'm not saying they should be complaining about this. I'm just saying, as a fan and a fan base, like people who love college football, I think it was a little. The game gets stopped so much over hits that nobody gets hurt on. Nobody even limps away for nothing. Everybody gets up fine,
Yeah.
but because it looks, it's involved, your head's involved, they stop
Mhm.
everything, and you. Not only do they do that, but then you kick a guy out. You don't even give him a warning, like a first warning or something. You just get rid of it, get the guy out of the
Yeah.
game. And this guy does this, which is the most blatantly obvious on purpose hit. I mean, the ball, like I said, it wasn't even nowhere near trying to make a good football play, which I think you should be able to take people out and make that hit if it's a football play. That
Yeah.
wasn't. That was just I'm gonna hit him no matter what thing. And I think if you didn't have all this other stuff going on with targeting reviews and penalties, maybe this doesn't even get brought up. But the fact that you do have all that other stuff, and then this doesn't even get any attention or nothing happens, that can't happen. You got to
Yeah.
have some kind of rule.
And worst time that could have happened. You got two of the biggest games of the year.
Yeah.
They're going to Eugene tomorrow, play Oregon. And
With the
they go,
struggling defense as it is,
yeah, they
Colorado
play
defense is
home.
not.
Play home against USC the week or next week. But just talking about tomorrow's matchup with Oregon, right now they're 21-point dogs going into Eugene, and Bo Nix has been playing lights out. He in 3 games he has almost 900 yards, 8 touchdowns. He hasn't turned the ball over at all this year. They got a great offensive line. He's only been sacked 1 time, and I think that given the fact that Colorado's defense hasn't been that impressive, and in particular getting to the quarterback, having that as an issue, going against an offensive line like
Oh boy,
Oregon,
get off,
you
get
know,
down.
oh, you just let her on the pod.
No,
We'll put her up there. That'd be
I
a good.
would, but she won't leave. She'll just sit here and meow and make noises.
Might have to screenshot that part there, and when we advertise the pod later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, we talked about Bo Nix maybe being a dark horse for a Heisman, and he's definitely still in the list. I had Oregon winning this game even with Travis Hunter. I thought it was going to be close, but I still have them winning. 21 points is a lot though, and it kind of makes me hesitant on it just because that Texas Tech game with Oregon. Now, granted, I think Texas Tech is better than what people think, but I don't know, man. Colorado is a good team when it comes to proving people wrong. They play, I think, the best when they're in doubt. But still, yet I have Oregon winning, but I do have it being maybe within at least 14.
Yeah, I got Colorado covering just because I think Oregon might put up 100 points, but Colorado might put up 80. Or 85. You know what I mean? Like, it's not obviously that they're not going to put that much up, but I think it could be real high scoring just because as much as we talk about Colorado's defense not being where it needs to be for them to be that in that conversation, I've not kept up with what Oregon to give up this year, but Colorado, Travis Hunter is a much more of a playmaker for them and a difference maker on defense, I think, than he is on offense. Offensively, he's very good, but I think they can get by without him on offense more than they can on defense.
Yeah,
I think offense is still going to be very powerful and very. I don't want to say it won't be as explosive, maybe, but I still think they can put enough points up to cover that spread. But I got Oregon winning. Unfortunately, I really wanted to go with the Colorado, but
yeah, I mean, I think that. Well, 2 things. First, I want to say I'm in agreement with you when it comes to Travis Hunter because they they play him in spurts on offense. They do that because they play him 100% of the time on defense. He is a guy that you can't replace him on defense. He's probably going to be a top 5 pick as a corner when it comes to going to the NFL.
I would almost take Colorado.
Well,
I love Deion that much. I love everything he's doing.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, we're planning on hopefully doing a pod tomorrow. We've already got some of the people that's been on the pod before. For those of you that have listened, Rusty Yates, that had joined us. I think maybe her second. It was our first pod. As far as the boys joined the porch. He's supposed to be coming in at some point tomorrow. We might have these guys for the whole pod. We might have them call in, but he said that he's going to be on it. We got Logan Cantrell, who we've had a pod with already, and as he claims, self-claimed, is the best episode we've had yet. He said he's going to be on there. And then we also have a new guest, Thomas Bernston, that's going to be on there. He's one of our close friends. So I highly expect, I would be surprised if any of us is rooting for Oregon in the game.
I mean,
so I think
I really,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to do it. We're tied right now, so I need to use my head to pick his games, not my heart. So I'm going to say I'll stick with Oregon, I guess, and go with that.
Yeah, I'm picking Oregon, but I want Colorado to win. That's gonna be a fun time. And for those of you that listen to this before that game tomorrow, like I said, tune in for that. We're going to try to go live for it. We're going to see how it works. First time we've ever done it. It could be an absolute disaster. But I think
and since we're talking about going live, which I don't know, if we're going to go live, we need to tell people where they can tune in to watch it.
Yeah, and we will. I'm going to put it out there.
Okay.
I'll talk to you about that off air.
That's the only real.
Setting that up.
That's the real thing about live versus this is if people tune in and watch it live. So I don't think anybody will, but if we're going to do it, we might as well give them the option.
Yeah, well, we're going to put it out there, and I think it's going to be a good time. We're going to talk about the games. We're going to try to do a squad parlay. Each one of us kind of just pick one thing and roll with it, and then the conversation is not just going to be on that game. We got 4 of us there. We're very close. We'll bounce around with a lot of things. And if you all are, if anybody is watching, we'll kind of comment on whatever is being said.
This might be if this all happens and everybody's on, it may be a little bit of a talking over thing, but this will be the closest to what this will be the closest insight into what our original idea for the podcast was, the whole sitting around a fire arguing thing. That'll be a closer to reality because we'll probably get after it a little bit and really debate some things, try to be ourselves as much as we can. So I'm sure people will be a little less argumentative just for the sake of not 4 of us not talking over each other, or 3 of us, however many we have on 5. But it could be fun.
Yeah, well, it'll be different. I think it'll be a fun experience. Keep going through this slate here. A game that I think that any other year I would have for sure a lock on who's winning, but it's 15 Ole Miss. We're going to Tuscaloosa to play 13th ranked Alabama, and that's just weird to say that Alabama's not in the top 10 at the least. They'll be playing at 3:30. Right now, last week, I think everybody knows that Alabama had a tough time with South Florida. They ended up coming away with the win, but they went through 3 different quarterbacks. At the end of the day, they ended up announcing this week they're going to go with Milroe as their starter. I think Nick Saban really appreciated how supportive Milroe was. Like I watched the second half of that game, and he was just all about his team, man. I'm not trying to hype him up or anything, but as far as what I saw in the little bit that I saw out of the quarterbacks, I mean, I don't think any of them is Bryce Young, but when you pick him between the 3, just the leadership he showed, I could see why Nick's going to go there. But they need to tool this offense around him because he is a run-first quarterback.
Well, I was going to say, I don't care how supportive he is, and that's great for him to do that. That's what he should be doing, and that's probably what he was looking at to see how he responds. But if he's not the better quarterback for your offense going forward, I don't think you can make that decision based on how supportive he was. You're in a spot where you need to find your best option of winning.
Well, I think,
and like you said, if he is, you need to go ahead and call plays.
Yeah.
For him, not for your previous, offense, and he is more of a runner.
Yeah, and I think that like what you're saying with the I think they were in a position where they're just honestly splitting hairs because none of them have stuck out, and the other two came in and played terrible Saturday. And so I think that's where Nick was. He's like, man, none of these guys are sticking out. So I'm,
Nick, you on a first name basis with old Nick
yeah,
down there
man.
in Alabama?
Yeah, stay tuned. 2 months from now, after
I
his
mean,
failed playoff appearance, he's
if
going
you're
to be on the
that
pod.
good, see if we can get him on. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll get him on. We definitely shoot up in numbers then. But as far as Ole Miss goes, they got one of the best running backs in the country, Quishon Junkins. Um, right now, he's the top back in the SEC at least last year, but he's been banged up in practice. He's played a little bit here and there, but we'll see how healthy he is going into this game. That could be maybe the most important detail of the whole game. Uh, I have a strong pull to go with Ole Miss, just because I've not seen anything from Alabama that tells me, yeah, they're going to go out there and play a lot better. But I've also not seen anything from Ole Miss in the last so many years to say that they can ever get past that Alabama hump. Um, and eventually, I feel like Bama's going to wake up at least on defense because they got talent on defense. Uh, I think that's the key matchup. Junkins, that offense, Jackson Dart versus Alabama's defense. I think Alabama's defense comes away with it. I think it's gonna be a lot more of a low scoring game. Uh, maybe even under that, like 40, 45 range, maybe even lower than that. I'm going with Alabama.
if this was in Mississippi, I'd probably go with Ole Miss, but the fact that it's in Tuscaloosa and they need. I don't want to say they need a win. I mean, obviously they need to win, but
Yeah.
I think they need a prove a point game and a turnaround game. So I'm thinking that Nick, as you like to say, or I'm only knowing him as Coach Saban. So as
Yeah.
Coach Saban, I don't think you want him mad, and historically you make him mad. Bad things happen to the teams next week. So I mean, obviously they didn't lose last week, but they're not. I don't feel like they're in a great mood down there right now. So
No,
they're trying to
definitely
get
not.
things right back on schedule here. So I think Alabama wins. If it wasn't in Alabama, I may would have took Ole Miss. But give me
Well,
shout out to my cousin Tiffany. Just had a baby. They and her husband Matt, who is a professor at Alabama. This picks for them. Roll Tide.
and if there's ever a time for Lane Kiffin to get one on Coach Nick, this would be the year. But I don't see it happening. So our next game we have, I think this is going to be a tough matchup. This might even be, as far as just on the field performance, might be the best game at 3:30. You have 22 ranked UCLA. They'll be traveling to Utah. Utah's ranked 11th. They'll be playing at 3:30, like I said. Right now, UCLA has been very impressive, I think. They have a freshman quarterback that wasn't even projected to be the starter, but he has came in and he's played great. Uh, he has thrown for 615 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he is a weapon when it comes to running the ball. Uh, Utah, I'll go ahead and just run by this and just say that, right now we don't know if Cam Rising's going to play. Every week it's a game time decision. He's coming off of an ACL injury last year, as well as their star tight end. That could be the deciding factor, and I think you're going to see tomorrow, maybe early on, that line move, maybe a little bit, just depending on what news comes out about them. Because if not, then we'll get to the point where we're going to have Nate Johnson and Bryson Barnes, pig farmer. Cool story we shared a few weeks ago. That they'll be sharing quarterback duties. But UCLA right now, their defense is actually playing really good. I seen PFF had them in. I think they're top 10 defenses so far through the year. And then with that quarterback being able to make plays like he can, I want to say first, but when we do this squad pick parlay thing that we're going to do tomorrow, I'm going to have them keeping it within, I think 6 to 8. I can't remember, it's around that range. But because I'm not going to put my money on them winning. But when it comes to the pick'ems, what we're doing right here, I am going to pick them because I do think that UCLA and Oklahoma are the two best kept secrets in college football right now. I think people have forgot about Oklahoma, and that's a separate conversation. I think they've been great with Gabriel. He slowly playing his way into a Heisman list. But UCLA, their defense stepping up the way it is, and with Chip Kelly, the coach, they're going to score. I have them winning right now, especially with the uncertainty around Utah's quarterback situation.
I'm gonna go with Utah.
Oh, Utah. Well, the thing about Utah is consistency. At least on defense, it's hard. I mean, I'm betting against them, but death taxes and Utah defense. That's what it's been the past few years. So.
In Utah, I hate to go, but let where the game's at make my decision, but that matters a lot in college. So,
well, when you're splitting the fact that you have ranked teams like this, I mean, sometimes it is the home field advantage that could swing it, and you can tell that when you look at the lines, the betting lines and stuff. It influences it a little bit. So that's the first one I think that we have that's actually different. So so far we've been pretty much on board with each other on all of them until now. So the next game we have is another ranked matchup. I think it's the one that is probably getting overlooked the most. But we got 14th ranked Oregon State traveling to 21 ranked Washington State. Right now, they're rivals, so they've played, I guess, about every year. But out of 107 meetings, this is the only time that both of them have been ranked. So I thought that was a pretty cool little detail. I really don't know much about either one of them, other than the fact that both of them have two pretty good quarterbacks that are transfers. DJ, can't say his last name. You did it pretty good there a few weeks ago, but
I was reading it off of paper.
Yeah,
I don't have
on
it
the
pulled
spot,
up.
and then the guy for the Cougars, Cameron Ward, he's been playing great. So I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. It's just given the fact of the other games that we have, I'm probably not going to watch it. I'm going to go with Oregon State. I just think their offensive line's impressive. I think that the top matchup in the game is going to be R.J. Stone for Washington State. He had a heck of a game last week. He just wrecks offenses. But Oregon State's offensive line, from what I remember of watching them last year and the little highlights this year, that's their strong point. So I think it's going to be a fun matchup, but I'm still going with Oregon State because I don't know if they're going to be at the top of the Pac-12 because, like I said, beginning of the year, it's a stacked conference. The top is very, very good, but they deserve to be in the conversation. Like those games are going to be fun to watch. Nevertheless, like I said, I'm still going with Oregon State in a close one.
Yeah, I'm gonna break my trend of going with the home team, and I'm gonna go with Oregon State also. If you're the home team and it's a close game and you're still not favored in Vegas, that probably means you're probably not supposed to win. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington State pulls an upset, but I'm gonna go with Oregon State.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, that game I think is going to be really good. It's unfortunate that I wish, but you can't flex games or downgrade games. But I wish it could have been a Thursday night game because it's a game that deserves everybody's attention. It's just it's not going to get it with the other matchups, at least not with us. So the next matchup we have is 24th ranked Iowa going to Penn State, Beaver Stadium. Penn State's ranked 7th. Right now, that Penn State's the only ranked team on Iowa's schedule. So this is Iowa's one chance if they do want to make it to a playoff. Of course, their best case scenario. I don't know that anybody picked them to make it when you look at the top of the Big Ten. But I think they're probably the fourth best team in that conference. they have to have this win. Have to. And
Go ahead and pick
that's
them.
well, I'm not saying that I don't want them to win. I'm just saying that they have to have it. But on the other side, Penn State has to have it because you're going to be playing Ohio State, Michigan, and there's a chance you could split them.
Penn State has to have it more than Iowa State.
Yeah, and it could. I mean, it could derail Penn State's whole season unless you can lose close to Iowa and then beat Ohio State and Michigan. But that's a tall task. You don't want to put yourself in that position. And not to mention, Iowa's banged up right now. Cade McNamara is not. I mean, he's a good quarterback, but he's a good system quarterback. I don't think he can elevate that offense enough. They got, I think, both the running backs out, tight end out. They got too much going on offense as far as injuries. I have Penn State winning, and I think it'd be close for a while, but I think ultimately towards the end they might end up pulling up 2 touchdowns to close it out.
This is one of the bigger spreads that I've seen. Not spread. Well, it's a good spread too. It's 14.5, but this is one of the bigger. The odds just on a straight money line. Penn State's minus 650.
Yeah,
I
think it's the injuries.
That's one of the bigger ones that I've seen on here so far. And it's something about Penn State at night. That environment with them white tails. That's
white out.
It would take everything Iowa had, all their players healthy, and then playing a perfect game. I feel like to win. And as you've already said, they don't have all their players. Penn State, I feel like is. I mean, they're always very good at home, but it's just even more of an exceptional year for them to not. Even if Iowa was at Iowa, I don't think they could pull this one off. So obviously, I'm going Penn State.
Yeah, and you talking about that betting line. I think the injuries is why.
Yeah,
it's like that.
I was wondering. I mean, I knew Penn State was very good, and you're looking at 24-7 for the rankings, but that's for 2 ranked teams. That's a huge underdog right there. So,
especially given the fact that Iowa's defense traditionally over the past few years and even this year is a top defense. I think last year it was the top defense in the whole country.
Yeah.
So a defense like that can almost hold you in the game, but you got to be able to score. I mean, it is what it is. You have to put up the points, and a team like Penn State with the weapons they have, especially the running back position with Singleton, and you have a top corner. Can't remember his name, but Penn State's got one of the best corners in college football, maybe the second best. So the opportunities are going to be far and few between with McNamara and Iowa's offense. They're just going to have to try to grind it out, make it low scoring. I think I've seen a lot of people go with the under, and I think it's I want to say it's around 44, maybe
38.5.
38.5. So it's actually went down.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was like around 44 or 40 something. And I've seen a lot of people been going with that.
Hey, quick question. This is off topic.
Yeah.
Can we pause these, or is this and start back? I know we couldn't on that first episode, but
I don't think so. But if you need to take a break for a second,
I gotta go. I was going to try to hold it, but there's no way.
Yeah,
it's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point before we're done. So I was trying to get to a point to where we could talk about. We were talking about something where you could talk and kill some time. But it's not gonna happen. So I'll be right back.
You're good. I'll talk about something. Yeah. So pretty much, tomorrow, I'll just kind of go over a little bit of the live setup that we're going to try to have, just to kind of talk about it a little bit while he's gone. We're going to try to do a live setup. The squad parlay that we're going to do, we're going to try to each throw a little bit on a spread money line, over under. Before, I don't know if everybody's going to be on right off tomorrow. We're going to try to start at 3 o'clock. If you're listening to this on Saturday, it's going to be later today at 3 o'clock. And we'll try to get on there about 30 minutes prior to kick off. We are going to be covering the Colorado-Oregon game like everybody. I think that's going to be the game everybody's going to be watching anyway. But around 3 o'clock, we'll try to go over what we have on that squad parlay and let y'all follow along with us, and you get to see our reactions to our bets either failing tragically or us, prevailing. So we're going to try to do that around 3, kind of give a little pregame talk on it, bounce around for a few things, NFL, college, might even touch on UFC a little bit. We got a pretty good card tomorrow, good main event with Gamrot and Fazeev. We try to go over some of it. And then, I don't know how much we'll bounce around between the other ranked matchups, but we'll try to channel flip a little bit too, and always give you updates on scores between the other ones. For those of you that do decide to watch on the live, I know that Facebook is something we're going to prioritize throwing this live on, and then YouTube, and not TikTok yet, but we're working on the TikTok thing. For those of you that do listen to this and that have a TikTok, go follow us on there, because I think we're only about 2 or 3 people away from having access to go live on there. So we'll try to do that. But for sure, Facebook and YouTube, those are our 2 main ones. We'll roll on it first and try to see what we can do. Jamar's back now, so
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. I just kind of gave everybody a little bit of knowledge or a little bit of information on our live thing tomorrow, kind of what we're going to try to do it on, and stuff like that.
Tell them about the $100 to watch per person they got to pay.
Oh yeah, $100 per person if you want to view it. We already struggle. Well, I ain't gonna say we struggle. We're growing. So I don't want to deter them away.
No, I'm just kidding.
So our last matchup, and what is, at least as far as rankings go on paper, the biggest matchup of the weekend. 2 huge fan bases, 2 huge markets, brands. We're going to have 6th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. We're going up there to South Bend to play 9th ranked Notre Dame. Right now, I think the line's around 3, with Ohio State being the favorite. At least the last I looked this morning.
I had it pulled up, and this cat is really causing me some
the cat is refusing
serious problems.
To be out of the pod.
So hang on just a second.
Yeah.
Damn, quit. Move.
I will say that while you're looking that up, right now Ohio State is rolling with Kyle McCord, and he's starting to really start fill up the stat sheet. It was in question who they were going to go with, but now he's starting to pull away.
What was you asking me? The spread?
It's 3, right?
3.5. Yeah.
3.5 now. Okay. So yeah, it's supposed to be a close game with Ohio State, I think, being the favorite the last I looked. But yeah, you got McCord. He's putting up numbers now. They're starting to click. He's got the weapons on the outside with Harrison Jr., Enigma. See how you say his name. I think it's Igma. Or around that, I don't know. But you got him and Kate Stover and then Trevon Henderson on offense. You got weapons everywhere. And their defense is actually putting up numbers too. I think they're only allowing, I can't remember, I want to say it was 10 to 20 points in that range, I think on the lower end. So they're doing good. Wake Forest right now, Sam Hartman, he is everything that we thought he would be. He's 5th in the nation in passing. I think it has a little bit over 1,000 yards. He has 13 touchdowns. Just the last outing, he had 16 to 26, 330 on the yards, 3 touchdowns.
He's got the best head of hair maybe in college football.
Yeah, he does. He's got it, man. He's got it. Right now he's got it all.
I'm a little jealous.
Got the ACC record books, and he's starting to fill up the stat sheet for Notre Dame. And awesome receiver they have, Chris Tyree, Virginia native, so it'll be one to watch as well. I think the atmosphere in this game is going to be insane. I think for Notre Dame, they've had big games over the years, and they've had good teams. I don't think they've had a quarterback like this maybe since Brady Quinn.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
And that's what generally that's been the key piece for them in a lot of those years that's been missing is that explosive playmaker quarterback. Yeah, they've had some really good teams everywhere but that position. And not that they didn't have bad quarterbacks, but they didn't have – I don't feel like they had playmakers like him.
Well, it's been a lot of system quarterbacks, I think. You look back, you had I want to say, was Jimmy Clausen after Brady Quinn?
I think so.
Yeah, I think you had like Jimmy Clausen, which I think he ended up getting drafted kind of high. Didn't he go to
Went to
Carolina?
Carolina, yeah.
Yeah. So you had him. You had as of last year, you had like Ian Book, or the last few years, Ian Book. Trying to think of some of their names.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot of
There's
system
nobody
quarterbacks.
that jumps out that's going to get,
Yeah.
but they're not bad, but they don't, like you said, it's they do what they need to do to keep them,
Yeah. Brady
moving.
Quinn was the last one I think that I would compare, to have Sam Hartman be in the same conversation.
Clausen
And
was pretty good. I can't remember which, but I don't think he was as good as Quinn at Notre Dame, probably.
no, I don't think he was. I mean, he was good, but yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, Quinn had him playing Ohio State and stuff
Yeah.
in I think the Fiesta Bowl, which is just thought of this. Did you see Pat McAfee had the Quinn Hawk jersey? You see that? So back around that time, AJ Hawk, of course, played for Ohio State, played against Brady Quinn. Well, Hawk was married, engaged, or dating Brady Quinn's sister. And he has a jersey that I haven't watched the whole thing on it, but it has like some signatures. So I want to say it has her name on it too, but it has all three of them, like the family connection, and it has it split down the middle.
Did you see they had Lou Holtz on with
no, I didn't.
with Lou Holtz
didn't see that.
impersonator in a mask of Lou
No,
Holtz
I
that
haven't
does
saw that yet.
the Lou Holtz voice.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good one, and the dude does he talks like Lou Holtz, and then Lou Holtz says something about I hope my lisp isn't that bad, or my lisp isn't that bad, is it, or something. But it's a pretty funny moment from that I seen it today. But Notre Dame, I think this could be. I think we'll learn a whole lot about both these teams. Is Ohio State really, that good? Because they've not really been tested yet as far as competition, but they've not overwhelmed the weaker competition they've been playing yet for the most part. Notre Dame, I think this is kind of what's the quarterback's name? We just talked about it.
Hartman.
I think this is kind of his. This is his. I don't want to say proven ground or whatever, but like this is his game to be like, okay, this is why you brought me here. You made a good decision. You know what I mean? Like this is it. I'm not just going to be another guy that gets you to 10, 12 win or 10, 11 wins, but you don't get to where you want to be. Obviously, both teams will still have a long way to go after this game, no matter who wins. But this is a huge game for both of these teams moving forward in their playoff picture.
Yeah,
I might be more excited about this game, and I hate Ohio State.
Well, on paper, yes. I mean, it is the best game Saturday.
I hate Ohio State, and I tend to like Notre Dame for several reasons, but Rudy being one of them. It's just a cool school to pull for.
Yeah.
But I might be more excited about this game than any other one this week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the school, both schools really just ooze out tradition. I mean, everything that you love about college football is in both these teams.
Yeah.
Whether you like them or you don't, you have to acknowledge that they are college football.
Both schools are kind of in the same, too, in that aspect, how polarized they are. Nobody really accepts either one of them for like, okay, I don't mind them. Both of these teams are kind of in that category where you love them or you hate them.
Yeah.
To an extent, I feel like I'm kind of different to Notre Dame. I don't pull for Notre Dame. Like, I don't watch a lot of their, just because I'm a huge fan. I just kind of in the back, I like Notre Dame. I'll pull for them, against most people. I'm not a diehard fan, so I'm kind of opposite with them. It ain't a love-hate relationship with me for them. But I know a lot of people who can't stand them, absolutely hate them, everything about them. And then people who are Notre Dame fans absolutely love them. Ohio State is how I am. I hate Ohio State. I can't stand them. But Shane Gillis is a Notre Dame fan, so go Irish.
Yeah. So you're going with the Irish, huh?
Can't go with Ohio State, so I'm going.
Yeah.
I really don't even being serious. Like if I was going to pick one, I I think Notre Dame gets them. I really do. I don't.
Yeah, like you said, this is the reason why they brought Sam Hartman in
Yeah.
this game.
Who'd you
And
pick?
that's
Have you picked
where
yet?
now I'm getting ready
Okay.
to. Yeah, that's where the game's going to be decided. It's going to be in Sam Hartman because right now Ohio State's defense is they're ranked third in the country total yards allowed, 223. But in particular, they only give up 140 passing yards per game, which is seventh overall. So make no mistake about it. We got the stars on offense for Ohio State and all that, but the game will be decided between Hartman against that secondary. Uh, and I think, for me anyway, that I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a great game. It'll be one of those as a college football fan. You're in awe of the traditions, the colors, the crowd, all that.
And another
But
thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I
After
was
you
gonna say,
pick,
but for
I'll.
me, Hartman will put up plays. He will make it a fun game to watch. But I just don't see him putting up enough points against that secondary to outscore what Ohio State's going to put up if McCord shows up. And I think he will show up enough. And not only that, but I think Trayvon Henderson's a great running back. I think that he's going to make big plays too. So I'm going with Ohio State.
If Hartman could propel himself very much into the Heisman race with a big performance and a win in this
Yeah.
game, also, that's another thing I hadn't talked
Yeah.
about. But he's not really been mentioned in that much. But come out and beat Ohio State, have a good game. That you put yourself right in the mix for that talk.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it would be a statement game for him. It'd be one of those games that people every year they're like, "Oh, that was the game
Yeah,
when
because
he won the Heisman."
you need
If
those
he
games
pulls it off,
as Heisman candidates. Like you need those moments. We talked about that when we picked our Heisman hopefuls, but you can't just be. I don't feel like you can just be like a great player and have good stats. I think you at some point to win it, you need one of those games where you can highlight it and be like, go to that
definitely.
game and look. That's why he's a Heisman.
Yeah, and you know, against a great secondary. So I mean, it's not just that it's
Oh
against
yeah,
a big team like Ohio State. It's also
yeah,
against a secondary that is top notch.
yeah,
So it would definitely be a feather in his cap.
and he may not even need to put up like over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. It could
Yeah.
just be him making a big play when you need it, getting a third, converting a third down on a drive with his legs or something. Just
Mm-hmm.
plays. It doesn't have to be a great statistical game for him to be a Heisman game for him. He just, they got to win, obviously. But he could just have a few of those moments where people, it could be the start of it. And Marvin Harrison Jr. could go a long way to. I don't know if anybody has a lead right now necessarily, but put himself really in a position to where he's a front runner again. Or I'm sure a lot of people have him as one of their picks, but like that could more solidify putting him up there if he could go out and really have a big game.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's so many players on that field that, like I said, Harrison Jr., Hartman. I mean, even Henderson, as good as he is, could come out and have 200 or 300 yards rushing out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
primetime games like that, and a game with high stakes. I mean, and that's not just for that game. I mean, it's for when you look at Shadur Sanders. I mean, he's already playing great. He's being mentioned. If he comes out there and plays like that against Oregon, he's going to go to the front runner. I mean, the way he's played.
Yeah, they get a win against them. It'd be hard not to put him.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a
Yeah.
big game next week. If they happen to pull off an upset against Oregon, they play at home next week against USC. Two Heisman one Heisman winner versus a Heisman
Hopeful, yeah.
contender. Yeah, I mean, that's what ifs, obviously, but I mean, it's not just that game. And you look at Junkins and Ole Miss. You look at UCLA. You got that freshman quarterback. I mean, he's playing great. Dante Moore, and then you have Jordan Travis at 12 o'clock playing against Clemson. But you got guys all over the field tomorrow. There's big time players playing big games.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, as a college football fan, it's awesome. I mean, as a football fan, period, it's awesome. That concludes our college football slate, though, as far as our pick'ems go. Like I said, tune in tomorrow or later today if you're listening to this for the live. I don't know if you want to touch on NFL any. There's not really a whole lot of great games tomorrow, to be honest. I think we're still learning a lot.
We can kind of, if we're going to do the live tomorrow, and there's going to be a lot of college games on, but there'll be some downtime. We can throw that around because we got 5. If at most we'd have 5 people, right? If everybody shows up, and we got 5 different teams that we all pull for, so it's not like there'll be a lot of room for some NFL talk tomorrow.
Yeah,
I will
Thomas
say this:
talk about it.
We do a pool at work every year. It's a random draw is all it is. You put names in a hat, you draw them out to see who picks first. Then you reach into a hat, draw a team out. So it's complete luck. But I will tell you today, I was hoping to pull the 49ers. That's my that's my favorite right now. That I think if I had to choose right now who I would put money on, y'all are looking good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a nervous feeling right now, and I'm trying to force myself to just enjoy the moment because right now, I think I sent it in our group that we had. Right now, 13 straight regular season games with no more than 1 turnover, the longest streak in NFL history. Then our defense is playing lights out. Brock Purdy is everything that I'd hope to have as a quarterback. I'm not going to get into it too much, but
pretty good.
He is pretty good. Yeah, and last night he played against a defense that blitzed more than any other defense ever in an NFL game. I think it was like 85% of the game they blitzed him. So I'm not getting into that too much, but I will say that I do have a nervous feeling because I know that the way that it's been the past few years, that injuries and stuff, and I know eventually something's going to happen because it always does with any
just
NFL
like with
team.
The Cowboys just lost Diggs.
Yeah, stuff like that
in practice. I mean, it's
and
never know.
Gosh, that would be awful. It'd be awful anytime, and obviously you don't ever want to see anybody get hurt. So right now I'm excited. I'm enjoying the moment, but I'm fighting back the urge to be really nervous about when something bad does happen because eventually it will, like it does with everybody. So hopefully, the way they're built, they're just the roster from top to bottom is spread out so much, and I'm hoping we can overcome if we do have issues. But yeah, like you said, we're going to talk about it a lot on the pod tomorrow because Thomas, big Bengals fan, and I don't know how much he's going to want to talk about them right now. But
I'm sure we're for sure. I know some people said up there about if I could or how long I could, but we are for sure doing it though, right? Like at least the 3 of us are for sure.
Yeah. From what I understand, me, you, and Thomas is a lock. And then
good.
Logan said for sure he would. It just depends. Like it might be just a little bit later. And then I think Rusty tomorrow is painting, but he'll be there. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I hope you don't get upset when I take a pic. Like I have a picture of you and that cat as the advertisement for this episode because that. What's the cat's name? We gotta give it a shout out.
This is Delilah.
I thought it was like I remember that one.
And for the record, I found her in the woods. She come to me. I rescued her.
Yeah.
We're gonna find out if Melissa listens to the podcast or not. Because if she does,
she probably will now.
She'll let me know that that's not true, but it is true. I'm the reason she's here. I saved her. So this will be a good test to find out how much Melissa listens. See if she listens an hour and 48 minutes in.
Yeah, she'll fast forward to that part.
She's gonna know she's on here now, so that's true. She won't cheat.
Yeah. So before we head off here, I don't want to. I don't know if you want to, but I don't want to really go over last week on the UFC card or even tomorrow too much. I just want to make mention that Valentina and Grasso did end up at a split decision draw, which was highly controversial because I think Grasso ended up getting a 10-8 at the end, and even Dana said that was crazy, which is ironic because Dana should push to fix the judging. It's a flawed system.
They really got to do something too many.
They need to.
There's too many. Like, okay,
Yeah.
it's too big a deal in these
Yeah.
fights for them not to have, and people pay too much money to watch
Yeah.
these things as it is, I think. But
Mhm.
but we do it anyway because it's how much we enjoy it. So for the viewers to pay that much, people to pay that much for tickets to get in, fighters to put that much into that training and that that much dedication to have it taken. It's not like in any other sport where a bad call, but you have a chance to make up for it. This is at the end of it, and you could
Yeah.
basically do everything you needed to win a fight, and they could take it away from you. And it really is.
Yeah.
It's a serious problem, and they're going to have to do something.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there's been so many suggestions. There's been suggestions about live scoring, about having it up there. I don't know if that would be good or not, but I do think that, in my opinion, a panel of people would be best. I think that's something that Rogan had
Yeah, he's
suggested.
talked about that
Uh,
before.
and I think that, well, I
Or
was gonna say,
he's
I
even.
think,
I've heard it brought up on
yeah,
his thing too about having the judges in a back room somewhere watching it on a TV
yeah,
and scoring it that way, crowd reactions or stuff like that, and
yeah,
you can see it clear, and which would make all sense in the world. Why would you? I don't understand. You don't have to go with this traditional sitting by the cage. It's not as good a view that way. You think you'd
yeah,
want to put them in the best situation, in the best scenario for them to see everything better, then make their decision.
hmm
It may not. I mean, you may still have. I wonder how much of these decisions are them not seeing things um, like they should be seeing them, or if
or
it's more
crowd
corrupt.
influence.
If
Yeah,
it's more corrupt and it's more, and they're just
yeah,
influenced by crowd or influenced by a name, and that'd be
yeah,
worse in my opinion. You can fix one of them. The other one, you'd have
yeah,
to get rid of people and completely overhaul how you do it.
yeah. I think Verdict does a great job. They're top notch. I think as far as judging and stuff goes, they've gotten really popular even with Joe Rogan. But I agree with you. I think a back room. I think it needs to be more than three, though. I think you need to have like a panel of
Mm-hmm.
experts, um, and then like you said, you ain't gonna have the crowd involvement.
Yeah.
Uh, and I would not have any commentary on the like when you watch. I wouldn't want any commentary.
No,
Just watch it.
just watch it. Uh,
Yeah,
and that's like that last fight we talked about with Strickland and Adesanya on the Fight Companion on Joe Rogan's Fight Companion. He
yeah,
even mentioned that they put significant strikes for a lot of those kicks that Adesanya threw that were getting checked by Strickland. So technically, those
yeah.
weren't even significant strikes, but they were still going
Okay.
down on the counter. So I wonder how much the refs put into. Do they see that as kicks being checked, or are they counting that as kicks that are landed? I mean, how?
To your point, if they can't see it that great from the side
Yeah.
of the the fence or the arena, uh, they're probably going to go off some stats. They're
Mm-hmm.
probably going to look at
Yeah.
some of that
Yeah. I
stuff.
wonder how much do
Uh,
they have stats on hand that they can look at after
I'd
rounds.
imagine
You
you'd
think?
have to because you would need the fact that they got registered knockdowns and stuff.
Yeah, because
Sometimes they're not,
through
yeah,
that cage you
registered.
can't see everything.
No,
Like, there's just no. I guess that's why there's three of them, obviously, because you see different angles. But
no,
you're missing a lot. That's
yeah.
you need a clearer picture of a fight like that.
Um, so that was that fight happened. Tomorrow, you're gonna have Fiziev fight Gamrot. Fiziev, he's a guy that he's rising up through the lightweight rankings. End up running at Justin Gaethje, and Gaethje kind of put a stop to that. But he's still a very fun fighter to watch. Super quick hands. And then you also have Bryce Mitchell, uh, the owner of the Camouflage UFC shorts, which is a big deal considering that they don't allow you to customize shorts that much. So that allowed him to have the camo shorts to fight with. I don't know if he's wearing them tomorrow or not. But what I did want to mention uh, before we got off that there were some fights announced. We do have the main event coming up in December. It's confirmed now. It's going to be Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington. So that'll be a fun fight. Colby, whether you love him or hate him, and I guess you could say it's about either one of them. They both have they probably have more villain or enemies than they do allies. But Colby is just a polarizing dude. I don't know if all of it's good, but I can't look away, so it works.
Well, he's one of those guys that, like, again, that was getting ready to be cut, so he developed this little character that he plays, and I believe, I think he probably believes some of the stuff he says. I don't, but again, that's a character he's got that. But people love it, and they love to hate him, and they love to love him. So it's working for him.
And as far as in the cage, I mean, I'll defend him on this. He's great. Like,
He
I've
would have
watched him
been
several times.
if not for Kamaru Usman, he would have been a champ a long
100%.
time ago. So
100%.
you can't take anything away from his talent in the cage.
And he's a top-notch wrestler, but he doesn't even use it. He is constantly on you the whole time, high volume. I mean, like I said, he's fun to watch.
One of the best gas tanks in the UFC.
Yeah, if not, I think maybe the best.
Yeah, maybe him and Max.
It is. Max is way up there too.
There's several of them, but yeah, you can't. There's no comparing him to. It's just one of them deals where you don't say who's better. You just put them all up there in that top.
Yeah.
Thing,
and they're up at tier 1.
Yeah, and he's one of them as far as gas tanks go.
Yeah. We also had for that same card, I guess it's just going to be on the main card. It's not a co-main event. The co-main event's actually, I can't even say their name. The guy that beat, it's the flyweight division. The guy that beat Brandon Moreno, Alexandria Pantoja. I don't know how you say his name, but he's fighting Brandon Royval. I'm sure Logan's loving this part. Me trying to announce his name.
Brandon Royval?
Yeah. So that's the co-main events. Okay, so yeah,
Alexandre Pantoja.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure.
Fluid, man. We're going to send these to you.
I had 4 years of Spanish. Shout out, Senor Steele. I don't know if that's why. I mean, maybe I just heard somebody say it. I can't. I'm not.
Well, I had a half a semester of Senior Steele, and then did not have him anymore, and it shows. So, so also on that same card, we have that just got announced today: Tony Ferguson versus Paddy Pimblett. Paddy the Baddy. He, in my opinion, is absolutely going to kill Tony Ferguson. I think this is so upsetting to me because I watched the last Tony Ferguson fight and I'd hoped he'd come out and fight good. Yeah. It was embarrassing.
But the last Paddy fight wasn't it kind of controversial too? Was his one before the last one?
I think it was the one before last. Nevertheless, he's still in peak athletic form.
Well,
against a guy.
When is this fight? December.
December.
He may be in some kind of athletic form right now, but he's one of them. He walks around looking like me for most of his non-training camp, and then he walks out looking like skinnier than you before.
Yeah, I was gonna say he walks around like James Harden when he's trying to get traded.
Yeah,
he's got a little bit of weight on him. That is true, but I think it's embarrassing that this fight's happening. I love Tony Ferguson.
Well, he's in such. His body just can't take much more. Yeah,
he's done. I mean, he got pieced up by Bobby Green, and I think Green is a good fighter. He's a good striker, but Paddy is on a rise high. This is you're serving up a good name on a silver platter for Paddy to just kill him and just say, "Well, I beat Tony Ferguson."
Do you think maybe they're doing? Maybe this is. They tell him they'll give him this fight if this is his last one.
I mean, I guess so. Maybe. But honestly, Dana should have told him, "Listen, it's over," because he's going to get hurt. Like he's that type of dude that like he would die in there.
Yeah.
And I respect him. I respect what he's done for the sport because when he was on his streak and he was winning, I mean, he was awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that age has just caught up with him.
He was a boogeyman. They called him at one time.
Yeah, I mean, he was great.
People run away from people didn't want to fight him. People would not take that fight.
Well, him and Habib, like that was the biggest fight to make for so many years, and it fell through like 4 times on freak accidents. like I said, I think it's an embarrassing matchup, but nevertheless, it's two big names. And then the last one I wanted to mention, uh, huge fight, huge card, the most excited I am for any card right now that's left in this year. Uh, the main event of the UFC 295 is John Jones, Stipe Miocic, but the fight that got announced to pair with it today, announced yesterday, was Jiri Prochazka versus Alex Pereira. As far as striking goes, it's not going to get better than this. Not at like a light heavyweight. This is. I know not everybody knows who these people are, especially with Jerry. I think they do probably with Alex, just the fact that he beat Izzy. But dude, if anybody's listening to this, go look up both of them and just do a deep dive, or not even a deep dive, just YouTube them and watch a 5-minute video on their story. Jerry is he's like a pretty much living samurai. He's like out in the woods, punching trees, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and he's like a true warrior to his roots.
This
That's
is the
all
dude
he
with the
cares
shoulder
about.
that had the shoulder injury, right?
Yeah, well,
and they
he's a
said it
champion.
was one of the worst shoulder injuries ever.
Yeah,
yeah. Do you think you think he'll have any?
Yeah,
issues
I
with
think no,
with
I
that?
don't think he'll have
you
any.
think he's back? Everything's fine. You think?
Nah, I think he's back.
I hope so, because I think this could be a really, really good fight if he's 100% healthy.
Honestly, obviously the most anticipated fight is going to be John Jones versus Stipe, and plenty of reasons why that is the case, and we'll go over that when it gets here. But this fight might be the fight of the night because Jiri, he strikes. He's just all over the place. He's so unorthodox, and to see him, and I don't know how a samurai would strike, but I'm just, like it's like a samurai versus
with the sword. I think.
Yeah, but he looks like he's striking with a sword. The way he swings his hands and does those spinning elbows and everything else, but it's like that versus for the lack of a better way to describe it, versus an Indian, because Alex Pereira lives on the streets in Brazil lots of times, and I think I don't want to mislabel it. We'll just say they say indigenous. I guess, yeah, indigenous. He lives down there, and he walks around with the headgear and everything on. When he comes out, he does a celebration with the bow and arrow. And then, as far as, in the cage, he's got a long list of accomplishments. One of the best kickboxers in the world. Knocked out Izzy 3 times, if you consider all the promotions. Izzy ended up beating him the last time. But to see him and Jerry fight, man, it's going to be great. And I don't know what else is on that card, but just that fight, the John Jones fight, I'm very excited for that. Depending on how this live stream goes tomorrow, that would be a cool one to do. It would be cool to obviously have us in person, because I'm sure we'll watch it together, but also to maybe pull some people in on a live stream too. But I can't wait. If you couldn't tell.
The problem about that live stream thing is if we're going to pay for a fight, we'll probably all be in the same spot watching it if they're going to watch it.
Yeah. Well, I guess more or less what I'm meaning is if Thomas or somebody wanted to jump on that. Yeah.
We could have that.
But the ones that are close, yeah, that's why I was saying maybe doing it in person, and I would have to look at that because
we've not been to B-Dubs to watch a fight in a while, and I got some gift cards I got to get rid of, so we need to go there and watch one of these fights.
It might be the night we do that too.
How cool would it be if they let us record live from B-Dubs?
That would be awesome.
How awesome would that be?
I don't know if we have the hookup to do that, but now if we had maybe like El Sombrero or something, but they're not going to show it on on that TV.
That's what we need to do.
Yeah,
we need to get El Sombrero on as a sponsor. Yeah. Let us do shows live. Set like kind of after the whistle thing to do it. Let us set up in a corner and do a live podcast. And that'd be awesome.
At least for the guest ones.
Mm-hmm. That'd be cool.
Yeah. So that kind of pretty much covers most of everything. apologies out to everybody for not getting one out earlier this week. Schedules didn't align with some other things going on. But I think we still did. I think it kind of worked out. We got to kind of cover last week, cover the games tonight, and then what we got coming up in college football this weekend. A lot of excitement stuff. A lot of exciting stuff coming around the corner. We had Coach Krieger on last week, and again, thank you for everybody that's shared that video, shared the reels. I'm very thankful and encouraged by the people that have that's messaged me or called me and talked about it. And I'm sure you've had a few too. And I've seen even people share it on their stories and stuff like that. I mean, it's just awesome. Like, I like that because sometimes I feel like we're doing this just to hear ourselves talk, and I think that's fun. Anyway, just sitting here talking about sports with you, but it's cool to see that some people are listening to it and that they actually care about it enough to get it out. And I think that those pods with the guests and stuff, the ones we have on, they're going to be fun, and they're going to be the ones that are going to gain the most traction. People are going to share them the most for obvious reasons. But again, thanks for everybody that has done that. And I will say, for those of you that are listening or watching this on YouTube or whatever, if you do have anybody that you think, oh man, this guy, he's a great coach or great whatever, send it to us. I mean, I don't know who and I will have on, but we'll listen at least. And if you know somebody, you got the hookup with a coach or famous athlete or whatever, famous local, famous that you might want to see on here, or we could get on here. We'll talk about it.
Also, we're nowhere near a big number on listeners or subscribers or anything, but if anybody out there has a business or knows anybody that has a business of any kind, you want to possibly be a sponsor, hit us up. We'll work something out. We're open to all that. Again, we're not going to make a pitch of why you should try to get on here as a sponsor, because we don't have a lot of, we can't come to you and say, well, we got this many listeners, but just anybody that's interested, let us know. We'll work it out, figure something out.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean, we're doing this for fun. This has already got further than what I ever thought it might. I mean, we've had a lot of support, at least with a lot of the local schools and stuff, sharing our content. So, I mean, that's very encouraging. And as far as just sponsors go, we do want to thank again Wyatt Pole Holders and Cantrell Holdings. We'll get to talk to Logan tomorrow. And then as far as Wyatt,
let him plug his own spot tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah, he'll have to give his own little, advertisement. But yeah, and as far as with Wyatt Pole Holders, I made posts and I showed, even with Cantrell Holdings too, show the equipment, and then with Wyatt Pole Holders, some of the fishing racks. He can also do like plaques, He's working on wedding rings, more like a wooden style, and as well as cutting boards. I actually have a cutting board that he has engraved like my name on it and everything. So that's really cool. I just have to kind of hit him up on Etsy or just get in contact with me, and I can point you in the right direction. And I don't want to get too much into this next part, but I mean, he also is a musician, and we talked about having him on eventually as well. So I don't want to spoil any of that, but when that comes, that's going to be pretty exciting. And we've not really got to talk a lot on the music part yet, besides some of the concerts. But that's something maybe we'll talk on a little bit tomorrow, because I know Thomas has an all-star list of concerts he's went to this summer. And I mean, as well, I mean, you've seen a lot of people this summer and all that. So, we're going to chat up with music and stuff too. And I'm all about showcasing some local people that are trying to make it or whatever. And so, if anybody out there knows any musicians that hey, they're might be right down the road and we don't know about them, but heck, they're putting in work and they're not bad, just send it to us, let us know, we'll check it out. And like I said, we're all about trying to in my opinion, trying to be something good for the community. Something that, we talked about with high school players and stuff, something that they can hear their name on a show or hear their name on a clip that's being circulated through social media and feel proud of it. Because I know how we felt seeing a little, well, for me anyway, a little tiny thing, my name in the paper. Yours probably a little bigger, but just stuff like that. It made me feel good, and I know that players or anybody local, musician or a business or anything like that local that wants to have a promotion or they're interesting people, send the names to us and we'll talk it over and we'll see what we can do.
If I was in the paper, mostly I was known as Bobby's son or Katie's brother. So that's about the extent of my paper stuff.
Well, we'll get into a pod one day about that. That might be what the title of the pod is.
I wanted to try to get there's that cat, get out, go away. Goodness gracious, go. I tried to talk Dad into maybe in the future. I started working on him now. Maybe I might talk him into it, but I don't think it'll ever happen. If we can convince him that maybe it won't be on video, and he might sit down and talk. But I want to try to get him on and talk about the team he used to play on with the independent tournaments they went to, him and his cousins and all them brother and family members they got. They used to call them the Blinken Lesters. And this is like folklore around here if anybody's old enough to remember those days. But that'd be a really fun podcast. But I don't know that it'll ever happen. But
I said you get one Lester and one Blankenship.
I wanted to get Ricky on or Jet, but I don't think any of them will ever do it. But we'll see if we can work on it.
Yeah. Well, I guess that kind of concludes tonight's episode. Again, thanks everybody for listening. We'll get out some more content next week, and we'll try to check out the live podcast and just give us a like and follow on our social media. And again, send any suggestions, criticism, anything. We'll use it all. Thank you guys again, and God bless.
Y'all have a good one.